fraudulent and impatient customers. We're going to talk about them on this segment of the Gig Geezer. If this is your first time checking out the Gig Geezer, thanks for stopping by. And if you would not mind, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. And if you're a returning visitor of the Gig Geezer, hey, thanks for coming back. Now, I am several minutes removed from an interesting scenario involving a DoorDash customer. I had accepted a 6-item, $9.50 offer from Monterey Restaurant, and upon further delving into the order, I recognized that it was going to a hotel. Now, that hotel was about 4 miles away from the pickup location. No big deal. Well, I pick up the order and I'm heading towards the drop-off location. Customarily, when I get about 5 minutes away from a drop-off location and I do not have a hotel room number or apartment number or even a gate code access, I'll attempt to make contact with the customer. In this particular case, I could have texted, but I didn't. I tried calling, could not get through. Didn't think anything of it. I get about a minute away from the hotel. I attempt calling again. Couldn't get through. Still didn't think anything of it. So I'm at the hotel, and then I decide to go inside and alert the front desk person that I have this drop off, and if it's possible, could you contact the person, or can I leave the order at the front desk, and I will text the person to let them know that the order is there waiting on them. Well, the front desk person says that she didn't recognize the name. She doesn't, because there's no information. I can't help you. And she says that she wants no part of it. Don't leave the order at the front desk. So now I'm faced with, what do I do? So I go to this table opposite of the front desk and I attempt contacting DoorDash support. Now, I was on hold for about 3 or 4 minutes when I decided to try the chat feature. I have not tried the chat feature in at least 2 years. And when I remember back in my early days of working DoorDash, so that's going back to 2019, you would have to wait in a queue. And there could be 2,000 people in that queue until you are number one in that queue. And if you miss your turn, guess what? You go all the way back to the end of the line. Well, I noticed that the chat feature has evolved to where it gives you bot scenarios, kind of similar to Instacart, and that I suppose that if you really need to make contact with a DoorDash support person, you can have an actual live chat with that person. Well, the bot scenario gave me enough information to where what I decided to do was take a picture of the order and leave a description of where I left the order. And so once you do that, the chat feature does not allow you to close out on the order. So you have to go back into the actual order to close out, meaning that you're going to take a picture, or you're going to say that you handed the order directly to the person. So I took another picture and then I left. Now, throughout that time, which about 8 to 10 minutes had transpired, I was hoping that I would still make contact with DoorDash support so that they can tell me while I was inside the hotel, hey, okay, let us try to contact the person, and if we can't reach the person, then you can either eat it, toss it, or give it away to somebody. That didn't happen. But just as I left the hotel, of course, the hotel made contact with me. Now, today's been an interesting day altogether when it comes to customers. In fact, I'm going to segue right now into a scenario that happened earlier today with a Grubhub customer, in which the customer contacted me about an order having been delayed for quite a while. If this is your first time checking out the Gig Geezer, hey, thanks for stopping by. And if you're a returning visitor of the Gig Geezer, hey, thanks for coming back. Now, This particular segment of the Gig Geezer is one in which I may be preaching to the choir, and I may not be sharing any new, deep, profound information. But that said, I'm still going to go ahead with it because I'm in the midst of picking up the second half of a stacked Grubhub order. The restaurant is Jersey Mike, and the customer had just sent me a text message asking if I am heading to the location to pick up the order, and she noted that the order's been long delayed. Well, according to the pickup time, the order should have been picked up an hour ago, but hey, I happen to be the person who accepted the order. Now, I am about 3-4 minutes away from actually arriving at the restaurant, and my response to the instructor is that, hey, I'm about 5 minutes away from the pickup location, and that once it's picked up, it'll be about 10 minutes before I reach her location, which of all places happens to be an elementary school. Now, before you say anything, this particular order, we're talking about 5 to 6 miles total the trip. And the order offers $13.42. So that is why I took it. It's worth my while. So then I am curious to find out just what may be the culprit on this order. I suspect there's a couple possibilities. It could be that, given that it's Jersey Mike, the place is just they're just woefully slow. Jersey Mike's promptness of orders, at least in most locations in Richland County here in the Columbia metropolitan area, they're just slow. And so it is a possibility that this order could have been bounced around. The other reason is that, well, it could be that the order has been bounced around because there was the drivers who had passed on it, they realized that there was no money on the order. And so that's a possibility as well. But given that it's $13.42, I'm going to reserve judgment on that, at least for the time being. So I'll get back with you once I've picked up the order. Well, I was about to say it was no tip and therefore no trip, but no, in this particular case, it is a slow restaurant. Jersey Mike is notorious for being slow. So customers, don't always be so quick to blame the driver. It could be that drivers who know that time is money would rather pass on an order that takes forever than to waste their time and money. In these situations, you have to really just use your best judgment. There's no right answer, and there's really no wrong answer. You have the option to unassign yourself from the order. You have the option to accept the order. You have the option of trying to time orders in such a way that you're not sitting there for 10, 15, 20, 25, possibly 30 minutes for an order. You have those options depending on the app. And if I were you, and this is what I have done in many situations, I will push the envelope. I will push the envelope as the app allows me. And that's going to be my best answer in this. Push the envelope as best as the app allows you, so that you do not face the possibility of a temporary account suspension, a contract violation, and or the actual worst case scenario, account deactivation. I mean, again, sometimes there's no profound, deep answer. Sometimes it's just a reinforcement of what is clearly obvious. And in this case, it is using your best judgment, but also pushing the envelope as far as the app allows you. Now, the other part of this conversation is, how do you deal with the customers who may be mad at you or try to blame you? Quite honestly, I may not be the best person to answer that question, but I am going to give you my best answer. Now, as some of you may know, if you're a returning visitor to Gig Geezer, I've shared ways of avoiding contract violation by, number one, being aware of the estimated arrival time on the DoorDash app. On Grubhub, basically the same thing, being aware of the estimated arrival time. Grubhub allows basically a 15-minute variance, but there are some other tricks that you can do. There are tricks that I just cannot divulge in a public forum, because hey, these companies are always they know what's going on YouTube as well. So in this Grubhub situation, the customer sent me a text message asking, am I going to the location, and she noted that the order has been long delayed. And my response to her is that I'm 5 minutes away from the location, and once I pick it up, it'll be 10 minutes to your location. Once I picked up the order, I then told her that, hey, this location is notoriously slow. There's a confluence of reasons why about this order and its delay. One, the restaurant is known to be deluged by foot traffic, and that they are insufficiently staffed to handle it. And she bought that answer. And actually I gave her a true response. I didn't bullshit her, okay? But then I have gotten text messages from customers depending on where I am in the order process. And what I've done is that they sent me, I remember early on, this was like during the pandemic, so we're talking 2 years ago. There was a Krispy Kreme order, and the customer says that his donuts better be warm. Well, when he sent me that message, I unassigned it. I'm like, fuck you, man. I ain't gonna run myself into the ground or risk things just because you want warm donuts. Fuck off. Get them yourself. Most recently, I had a Grubhub customer basically to complain with the same reason, saying that his food better be warm. Well, I went ahead and picked up the order, and I got there. When I got there, I dropped it off, did not ring the doorbell, and went on and drove off. So, I mean, you don't have to respond. You don't have to respond to the text messages. You don't have to go as far as calling them. Last night, actually, we're talking then June 1st, 2022. I had a customer to text message me, everything's all right. Sorry that you've had to wait for the order. He knew that I was there waiting on the order. Turned out to be a really good guy. In fact, the guy tipped me $10 cash upon handing him his order. Now, what happened was when I handed him the order, I did explain to him that the restaurant explained to me that once the order came in, they did not get the order in a timely manner because the paper was jammed. The paper was jammed in its printer, and so that explained for the delay. At least that's what I was told. And he just apologized again, but he was a good guy about it. It really depends on the customer. Most customers, I'm not going to say the majority of customers because I don't know, but you have customers who are understanding and will not take it out on you. They won't trash your rating, or depending on the app, they won't take away all or part of the tip and give you a bad rating as well. And then you have other situations where you ain't got to worry about the customer. They can complain all they want. They can call in the apps that I'm talking about are Grubhub and Waiter/Bite Squad, in which you're not subject to any rating or your tip being affected. Just drop it off when you drop it off and keep it moving. I mean, I know it's not the most profound. It may not be the most professional thing to say, but I have also said too, I have said this already, work within what the app will allow you. So that means pushing the envelope, working within that gray area, whatever that gray area you found it to be. And so, but also be mindful of how you respond to the people. Sometimes it doesn't matter what you tell the customer. I recall on a Uber Eats order, the lady complained that she'd waited an hour for her order. I guess, and I explained to her that your order was a part of a stacked order. Yours was second in the rotation. And according to the app, I had to deliver the first one in this rotation first because I didn't even know where your address was I because of the way the app works, I do not know what your location is until I drop off the first order. Well, if you've reached to this point in this segment of the Gig Geezer, thanks for hanging in there with me. And if you like the content that's been provided in this segment of the Gig Geezer or in any other segment of the Gig Geezer, hey, hit that subscribe button. Give my content a thumbs up. Share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. So, DoorDash support gets back with me. When DoorDash said that they would try to contact the customer, I told support then that what was likely to happen is that if you do get in contact with this customer is going to claim that she did not get the order. And true enough, the customer tells DoorDash support that I didn't get any order. And so DoorDash support had already gone through the app notations that I had already made. And so they told me at that point, we're filing a report about this customer engaging in fraudulent activity and that there would not be any refund given to the customer. So the Gig Geezer, despite not paying attention to what was then a potentially fraudulent situation, for that matter, any order that we accept and attempt to complete could be a fraudulent situation. The Gig Geezer may not have done everything right, but the Gig Geezer did do enough to cover his case in this, what turned out to be a fraudulent situation. So what you have here is, well, there are times where you may have to push the envelope, work the gray area as far as the app will allow you in certain situations. And in other situations, as always, you have to do whatever it takes to ensure that you will not be assessed a contract violation. You may not receive a friendly, well-written email advising you of an order that was not delivered, or the potential of a deactivation notice. And so with that, this is yet another segment of the Gig Geezer. I'm Inwood Lane. And as always, may your grind and may your hustle continue.